questions from reporters right outside there. Well, the corruption case against former Bosasa Chief Operations Officer Angelo Grizi and his co-accused has been postponed to the 26th of next month. The case has been postponed due to Grizi's hospitalization. They face charges of fraud and money laundering related to corrupt activities involving the Department of Correctional Services. The accused briefly appeared at the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court in Pretoria. After proceedings, former Correctional Services Commissioner Ntombi, former Bosasa Executive Andries van Tonder, and former Correctional Services CFO Patrick Gillingham swiftly made their way through a strong media presence without any comment. The main accused in the fraud and corruption case, Grizi, didn't appear with the group. He remains in a Johannesburg hospital after falling ill yesterday. Grizi was denied bail by the Palm Ridge Commercial Crimes Court on Wednesday. His lawyer indicated that an update on Grizi's health would be given later. The case relates to 4 tenders awarded to Bosasa and its subsidiaries valued at over 1.8 billion rand between 2004 and 2007. The other accused remain out on bail of 20,000 rand each, which was granted last year. Well, the Pan-African South African Language Board, in association with media research company Focal Points, have shortlisted words as candidates for the SA Word of the Year 2020. The SA Word of the Year is a word, term or expression preferred to reflect the passing year in language. Now, to talk to us more about this, we're now joined by Ntombi Huluhulu, head of the marketing and communications at PanSALB. Thank you so very much for joining us, and we appreciate your time here on SABC News.
Thank you for having me, Flo.
Well, Ntombi, as a start, are we talking about neologisms, words that were newly coined, or are we talking about words in general that we would have, in any case, seen in a dictionary? What is this based on?
Okay, the words that we consider, there has to be evidence that the usage of the word has actually increased in the past 12 months. And so it is not necessarily new words. But although in terms of the pandemic, there has been an introduction of a new vocabulary within the indigenous languages. So this is now a separate matter altogether. However, in terms of a SA Word of the Year, the word does not, or expression, it does not necessarily have to be a new word. We just need to get evidence that its usage has increased significantly.
Yeah. And what are some of the contenders for this year's Word of the Year, if you could tell us?
Well, as you know, the shortlisted ones were COVID-19 and Jerusalem. We've got quite interesting submissions from the public as well. Zol made was submitted, compatriots was submitted, and social distancing. But however, we had to try and create a criteria to ensure that we encompass a broader way of ensuring that we don't just concentrate on a COVID-19. As I'm sure you know, that we as the world, actually, not just South Africa, we have been talking a lot about coronavirus. So we've also had to, as you see that Jerusalem is also making the cut. So we've actually had to look at the cultural significance of the words as well that have been used the most in South Africa.
Right, and when will the Word of the Year then be announced? And what does it actually then mean? Is this just a fun thing for us to kind of just laugh about?
Yeah, definitely. It is just a fun thing. We have announced it is lockdown. Lockdown has had over just under 500,000 mentions within the media. And you know, when you consider the impact that the lockdown has had in South Africans' lives, I mean, I think its impact will be felt long after we have passed the pandemic. We know that a lot of people lost their jobs during this time, and we've changed the way that we do business as well. You now see companies who are embracing the working from home idea. You know, it has actually actually change the way we even conduct our social interactions.
Yeah, and of course, then what can South Africans then do if they want to perhaps pitch for their word or vote for a word, or if there's such a thing? I don't know what the process is here. Maybe you can just let us in on that.
Yes, I think from next year, maybe we need to go a bit bigger, and maybe just allow them maybe to vote. I don't know. Maybe if we look into a way of making it more fun for South Africans, I think it is something worth looking into. So I think maybe they can think about it. They have another 12 months to go. So yes, we are definitely hoping next year we are going to get a lot more submissions.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this light-hearted conversation in the midst of very hard news this afternoon. Thank you, Ntombi, for giving us your time on SABC News.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's Ntombi Huluhulu, Head of Marketing and Communications at the Pan-South African Language Board. And I do see that lockdown is very high up, and COVID-related words very high up on the word of the year in South Africa. So we'll certainly keep you updated to let you know which word actually won. I'm willing to bet on lockdown. I think we're all really talking about that quite significantly. All right, well, yesterday was International Day of Rural Women. The theme for International Day of Rural Women 2020, as designated by the United Nations, is building rural women's resilience in the wake of COVID-19. The National Movement of Rural Women has called on members of the public to be conscious of how their daily actions affect the quality of life of people in rural communities and how they can better support these residents. For more on this discussion, we are then joined via Skype by Kifilwe Ebubape, Social Justice Facilitator at the National Rural Development for Women. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you for having me. Hello?
Wait, pardon me, can we please just take a short break? I'll come back to you just after this.
All right.